science. Do we have any other science PhDs in the house? Unlike high school, we're the cool ones. Tonight, I'm not going to be doing any science, however. I'm going to be doing improv, and that means everything I do is going to be made up on the spot, inspired by our scientific guests. And as many of you know, this is something I am demonstrably worse at. So now, to get the show started, let's bring out the rest of my friends. Science-adjacent friend, Sam.
Yes, I am a computer scientist, and despite what Tom says, that is in fact a real science. However, we've been having a lot of debates backstage about who's the smartest person on our team. I'm humble, I've accepted it's not me. So instead, we're going to solve this by playing a game of categories. To do this, I'm going to come to you for a suggestion of some kind of category. And then our performers are going to point to one of them, they're going to list off something in that category. So for example, if you were to say colors, I might point at somebody, they would say
blue. Rhino.
Okay, that's not a color. Which means Tom gets 1 strike. If he does it wrong again, he'll get 2 strikes. And then I'm going to say Tom is, and we're all going to clap twice and shout, out of here. Let's all practice that. Tom is out of here. Oh, y'all are good at this. Alright, so to get us started, can I get a category?
Red states.
Red states. Red states. Red states.
Texas. Oklahoma.
Pennsylvania. Alabama. I'm from Pennsylvania. Filet?
What?
Filet?
Filet?
Yeah. He said red state, right?
States. That's 1 strike. New category.
Elements.
Elements.
Yellow?
No. That's 1 strike for MC. New category. That was quick.
Bacteria.
Rocks. Lots of rocks.
Hard ones. Soft ones.
Sedimentary. Igneous. Zirconium. Quartz. Really hard quartz.
No. You can't make it harder. Another category.
Sorting algorithm.
Sorting algorithms. Computer scientists in the house.
Cubes.
No, sorry. Pages. Get out of here.
Hair types.
Hair types. Hair types.
Curly. Blonde. Straight. Brunette. Wavy. Red.
Bald. A ball.
Wrinkled. Wrinkled.
You can have wrinkled hair. That's a strike. Green Glove's another category.
Pokemon.
Pokemon. Tom.
Bulbasaur. Ivysaur. Venusaur. Charmander.
Right franchise, right company, wrong franchise. Alright, everybody's got 1 strike. Get close, who's got my next category?
Catchphrases.
Catchphrases.
How you doing? And don't!
Zoinks. I am not the father. He's not the father.
Luke, I am your father.
That's not the right one! Tom is out of here. That's a misnomer. We got 2 more categories. Who's got me my second to last category?
Spices.
Spices. That's a spicy category.
Red pepper, please. Cinnamon.
Human.
Pepper. Nutmeg. Black pepper.
That's too long. Come here. We got 2 left. Who's got the best? The best final category.
Ants.
Songs that are what? Songs that have the word sun in them.
Walking on sunshine.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone, nothing but bright sunshine.
You are my sunshine.
Sweet child of mine.
Does that have the word sun in it anywhere?
Say it.
Sing it.
Sweet child of mine.
MC is Lindsay Winter is the smartest.
I feel really super excited about it. So now that I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm going to announce the actual smartest person in the room, and that is Dr. Ken Tanya. Welcome to the stage.
Great to be here tonight, and I'm going to tell you about a couple of my favorite animals that we studied in the lab at Vanderbilt. I'm going to tell you about electric eels and star-nosed voles, and I'm going to start with electric eels. So these are really amazing animals, and this is one of the ones from the lab at Vanderbilt. And they are, I think you could call them legendary creatures, and rightfully so, because they can give off 500 to 600 volts of electricity for a really large eel. And that's because most of their body is made up of electric generating tissue. And because of this, they've been of interest to scientists for centuries, really. And there's some really great historical stories about them, and I'm going to tell you about just a couple of those before I get into some of the research we've done exploring their behavior. So one of the more famous stories comes from 1800, and this is from Alexander von Humboldt, really famous naturalist, and he went on an epic quest to get electric eels from South America to try to understand electricity. It was a time when they didn't even really know much about what electricity was, and yet he had a real hard time convincing anyone to try to collect them. And finally he came across a fisherman who said, okay, we're going to do this for you. We're going to fish with horses. And he was really confused by this, but they rode off, they got a herd of horses, they forced these horses into a pool containing electric eels. The eels emerged from the mud and shocked the horses, and this was apparently their strategy, because after a while the eels were exhausted and the fishermen could safely blink. I'm going to come back to this because a lot of people didn't believe that this is the way that this unfolded. They got eels, but they didn't believe that this could have happened, because the question was, why would electric eels attack bigger animals? They eat little fish, so why would they attack horses? So I'll come back to that. So you might be also surprised to know that the battery was inspired to be invented by Volta, by the structure of the electric organ inside electric eels. And that structure inspired him to stack metals together. And that's what allowed him to generate these voltages, and it's something we all use to this day. He actually called it an artificial electric organ similar to the electric organ in the electric eel or a trembling eel, which is what they wanted at the time. And then fast forward to the 70s, and electric eels were pivotal for isolating what's called the acetylcholine receptor, which is a little molecular door that is critical for our communication between nerves and muscles. And so I'm sort of just outlining some of this history because they really have contributed a lot of interesting things to historically to science, and they are still contributing. So I want to give them some credit for that. But I know what you really came here tonight to see was eels in action. So I'm going to move on to some of the stuff that we've looked at in terms of the behavior. And so now you're going to see a predatory strike from an electric eel. And the eel's going to come from this side, and here's a fish. And you're going to hear some noise, and that comes from speaker wires that are in the water that allow you to hear the pulses that come at a really high rate. So a quick work of that fish. You might think, okay, well, eels give off electricity, they shock fish, what more is there to know, right? So, well, it turns out this got really interesting when we put them under the slow motion camera and looked at this at 1,000 frames per second. So what you're going to see here is an electric eel going after a fish, correspond to the high voltage. And what's actually going on here? When I imagined what an electric eel would do, I sort of thought of cartoon shocking where something would move around. It's the complete opposite. These fish are frozen completely still in just a couple of milliseconds. And it's temporary, so if the eel misses, like this one does, the fish can move again. And so then the question was, how could this possibly happen? How could they inactivate a fish temporarily in just a couple of milliseconds? And that led to a bunch of different experiments, and I'll just sort of cut to the punchline of what they're able to do. They really are a super optimized taser. They're doing the exact same thing. So what a taser dart's going to use, pulsed electricity is carried through those wires, and it causes your muscles to lock up so that you can't move. So eels are doing essentially the same thing, but they're way better at it. They're faster at it, they're more efficient, and a number of experts, we go backwards. It turns out they don't need the wires, right, because they're in the water. And so they are literally remotely controlling in a one-for-one manner the muscles here by animals with each of their high voltage pulses. You've seen the freeze mode, but they also have the drive stun mode, which they can make hidden prey move, and that reveals the prey to the eel, and then they go in and attack them along. They have the exhaust mode where they curl around tougher prey and shock it repeatedly until the muscles are exhausted. They have a defense mode, and I'm going to show you that one. I don't have time to show you these others. And at the same time, they use the electricity that they're giving off to detect conductors and track what they're trying to go after, which is amazing because it's both a weapon and a sentry system at the same time. So I'm going to show you this part before I tell you about the defense. So a fish is a conductor. So the way you can sort of test this electric sense is to give the eel a fake fish, so to speak, in the form of a conductor, and that's this one disc that's hidden among these other plastic discs. And the question is, can it detect this thing that looks the same to us using its high voltage? And so you're going to see that. So here's the thing to watch. So really, incredibly fast, accurate tracking. You're now going to see this in slow motion, so you can see just how accurate the eel was going after that. And that's essentially the reason it's doing that is because, again, the small things that they eat are conductive. And so when you put in something into the aquarium that's a conductor that goes around and thinks it's a piece of food, like a swimming fish, and it uses its electricity like a radar system to track it. So it's both a weapon and a sentry system at the same time, the same electrical pulse that they're using. Okay, so one of the other questions would be, what if something's much bigger than a fish? What about when something might threaten the electric eel? And I'll tell you, I actually discovered what I'm going to show you next accidentally. So they have a really impressive defensive. The problem, the challenge for the electric eel is its electricity is distributed out around the water to all different parts, somewhat weakly because it gets distributed and falls off in strength with distance. So how do you deal with that if you really want to have a strong deterrent effect? I'm going to show you this. Okay, so obviously that wasn't my arm. That was a fake arm with diodes in it, but the diodes were run by the eel, and that is how your pain receptor fibers would be run by the eel. It's really, really painful and really, really efficient. And obviously what it's doing is maximizing the amount of power it can deliver to something that threatens it. So here's another example of that. And so don't mess with my own corner electric eel. Now, the thing that was interesting about this, so this is exactly, as it turns out, what was depicted by Humboldt's friend who basically made a drawing of what Humboldt described of the events in 1800 that people didn't believe could happen this way. But in fact, I'm sure that's exactly what would have happened. We were able to publish a paper basically sort of vindicating Humboldt, and that's certainly what happened in that case. Now, the last thing I want to show you is after we published that paper, more evidence emerged, and you just can't beat this for like data and fun at the same time. Here's a guy that's trying to kill an electric eel with a machete, the question is, do the eels do this in the Amazon, not just in the laboratory? And I'll just let you watch this.
Hold Simon, dai, se minha rede aí.
Score 1 for the eel, score 1 for Humboldt.
I'm like now terrified of electric eels. You know, like, I'm just going. Alright, guys, our first piece for you guys is called revisions. So often scientists have to revise their original thoughts. And as these two players are going to do, Sam and Lindsay, if I decide that if Lindsay says something like,
I have a cat.
and I'm like, no, new choice, she will say,
I have a dog.
and so on and so forth. So I have control over what they have to revise. And so to get these guys going, let's get a location where a machete would be useful. Say what you say? Kentucky? Kentucky! All right. You are in Kentucky, whenever you're in.
When we find these fried chickens, I'm gonna be ready.
You try.
When we find these breaded catfish, I'm gonna be ready.
Yeah, I'm into breaded catfish. We're just gonna watch it though.
You need more help?
You have the weapon, I just got this piece of grass.
New choice.
You got the weapon, I just got this cigarette.
You want a weapon?
New questions.
Can I get into that? Can't be hunting fried catfish on an unsmoked diet.
That is for sure the truth, that's what I grew up knowing, so. That is for sure kinda right. That is for sure the shit now.
Wait, shit like good or shit like bad?
New reaction.
Good reaction. All right. So I'll tell you, these catfish are dangerous.
Okay.
Stop catfish.
Oh shit, there's one now.
I'm gonna be honest, we're best friends, and I was just gonna go and do thing. I didn't actually think out here in Wheatfield we were gonna find a cat.
You said we're best friends?
Use your machete because he's distracted.
Yeah, okay.
Who's that?
Alright, now the next game we're going to play is Collab Partners. And so in this game, we're going to have two players act on a scene.
Yes.
And then whenever I clap, they're going to rotate, and then the next two players are going to act on an entirely different scene. Okay, so to get us started, the first two players, can we get a suggestion of where you might, like what body of water would you find an electric eel in? And a quick, yeah. Alright, and for our next two players, can we get another suggestion of an object in Dr. Call?
Battlestar Galactica.
Balance, what do you say?
Battlestar Galactica.
That.
A battle.
Alright, rotate right. For our next two players, can we get a suggestion of a location that could fit on the stage?
Train.
A train. Alright.
Train.
Alright, rotate right. And the next pair could get a suggestion of another object.
Denim jeans.
Denim jeans.
Aquarium. A Battlestar.
Train.
Denim jeans.
All right. And birthday break, let's begin.
Just so beautiful.
I can watch them for hours.
Breathing with gills.
It reminds me of our first date. Back in '93.
That's right, we tried to breathe with gills.
Okay, Gerald, I know you took my Battlestar Galactica DVDs.
You can't prove it.
Oh, I can't prove it?
No.
Well, I've got a VHS copy of the video of you stealing it.
Do you have a VHS player to play it?
No!
Man, I'm just. They work as volunteer.
I know. I've been shoveling coal for days. I'm slowing down, I gotta shovel
Oh
some
yeah,
coal.
you get this. I mean, ringing a bell is hard work.
Oh, I bet ringing that bell's real hard
I mean,
work.
you always gotta look out and make sure that nobody's coming. Sometimes I think it's a person, it's just a tree. I just.
Oh, yes, your job's very, very difficult.
It's really hard. I would like to see, I got a degree in ringing bells.
You want to trade?
Yeah,
You want to trade jobs?
yeah.
All right.
All right. Good luck.
Birthday right.
Gerald,
Yeah?
I appreciate how you submit your own DNA to our company, 23andMe, but the sequence reads, says you're 90% denim.
Me?
Is this a prank?
No. It really says that I'm denim.
I look at the sequence, it's ATCG denim.
Oh, you're good. Good. Do you know what this means?
You're fucking with me, right?
I would never do that to you. What? I don't even know how. I wouldn't even know how to fuck with you.
Just because we went out that one time and it didn't end how we both wanted it to end.
I'm pretty sure you didn't that way.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's why I would never do this. That doesn't sound like me.
This sounds like you're trying to flirt with me because you know I'm into chicks with weird sniffs.
SeaWorld! Oh my god! I can't believe you got us tickets to SeaWorld.
Even better, orca whale costumes.
What? This is better than having gills. Almost.
Maybe you still want the gills? Hold my fin.
I think I do. I know it's a lot of money and a dangerous surgery.
Your skirt has really taken off. We can change you.
But you really think so?
Whatever my baby wants, she wants gills. We'll get you gills.
SeaWorld first.
All right, Gerald, I got you this time. I got the DVD of the film of you stealing my Star Trek: The Next Generation tapes.
All right. Is it Blu-ray?
Shit. Okay, fine. Yes, it's hard to ring the bell. Okay.
I told you. And you doubted me.
The trees do look like people. I can't believe I hit that guy.
I told you, sometimes they're trees and sometimes they're not. You really
Are you talking about like the trees are alive, like some sort of like tree from Lord of the Rings type situation?
Yeah, what if it's real?
Did you smoke the coal?
Gerald, I know you're flirting with me now because you just submitted a sample and it says CAT, CAT, CAT. You know I love cats.
Well, I would never. I thought you were.
Gerald. Are flirting with me and sending me secret messages in the DNA samples.
I am. It's true. And this is a cat.
Oh my God. There's my girl. She has fins.
Hi! I didn't know it would feel so weird to be looked at through an aquarium.
All right, I've got the floppy disk to show Babylon 5. Can't get out of this one, Gerald.
Do you have a desktop computer with the floppy drive?
Fuck.
Okay. You go out there and be the tree, and I'll see if I can see it.
Gerald, I was taking care of little Gerald. And he pooped. And inside the poop, there was a Cheerio. And I know that means that's an engagement ring. So yes, I will marry you.
This is way more than I expected. I was just trying to get back at you for dumping. I'll take the cat. I know. Fine. Little Gerald and I are out of here.
That's right. And you will always be little Gerald.
HR complaints?
So, how many people in the audience have a job? And how many people have ever had a job where there's that coworker you don't like? Everyone's got a coworker they don't like. And lucky for me, none of them are. But the name of this coworker is always one thing, right? It's always Elon. So today, we're going to take to a scientific publication, and then these people are going to meet Elon. But to get our folks started tonight, what type of scientific publication are they working at?
Ants.
What's that?
Nature magazine.
Nature Magazine and actual okay, I like that. Nature Magazine +1. So let's take it to a scene at Nature Magazine +1.
I guess we upgraded. How are you doing?
I'm sure your laptop's on orders.
On its way. I got mine 3 months ago, but I'm sure.
Whoa.
When do you get yours? Is that Elon's submission?
It's another submission from Elon. Yeah, guys. Yeah.
I can
There
tell
it
by
is.
the fact that he's comic stands. Every time we tell him, he still doesn't listen. Yeah, I mean, he thinks he's a comedian. Every time he says the word hello, he laughs gregariously and uproariously.
Like just laughing at his own joke.
Yeah, it's not a joke, it's just a greeting.
Yeah.
It's just a joke. Do you think it's weird whenever he talks, he always has to be touching his face?
Yeah.
Like, I just
Just something going on. Oh, and then what really gets me is the end of his sentences. And he's like, it kind of goes with the joke thing. He's just like, applauding himself. And everybody just goes like, that's my end.
Classic.
Classic. But, I mean, according to the email, he's going to be in any minute.
What?
For notes. Yeah.
No. Can you just Did you get my submission?
Yeah, just.
You got it. So you haven't had a chance to read it?
No.
It's a quick read. It's in Comic Sans. Super easy to get. Receive it better.
Right. It's just we can't have another like nature dating like pitch.
Yeah,
Right.
we know that penguins date each other. We can't have an article.
Yeah.
We really gotta mix it up. We can't just keep submitting the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, the other day, Dr. Tanya submitted one on electrical dating. That was pretty cool.
But penguins are cute.
You're right, they are, but that was last month.
Penguins were cute last month.
Yeah.
So let's get another spin. Let's get another spin.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Try a different animal.
Another spin.
Yeah.
You got another idea?
On penguins? Or on dating? Why are we arguing with my paper? This is real. Just read it. It's you read it. I'll be back. You'll see. Since last month, I updated a couple lines. You'll like.
Yeah. Wasting breath.
We're just trying to help.
I know.
Yeah.
Do we read it? Do we sit here and read it before he comes back?
I don't really.
He's
Absolutely the file.
I mean,
Yeah, let's just do that.
I feel like he's just gonna come back and he's gonna know, and then he's gonna get green. Have you guys ever seen him angry? He like turns into a frog. Have you seen that? It's bizarre.
Really weird.
Yeah. And then while he starts a sentence, he'll start blowing a raspberry first.
And then like speak. Yeah, it's super weird.
I think the thing that really irks me the most though is that like just whenever you ask him a really good question, just tweak things, he just eats his hair like he's what is that? Just
I
their
don't know.
hair since they were
I think it's about it actually.
Oh, is it? Probably. Yeah, I think we should just go.
Oh.
Oh, hey! Wow, that was good. Yeah, hey.
Read it?
No, we haven't. We haven't read it yet.
Yeah, not
I
yet.
deleted the file by accident.
Yeah.
You'll have to send it to me.
Yeah.
Nice.
You deleted it?
What?
Yes.
It was an accident.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't even have a computer. Look, do you think you could, maybe rewrite it, but maybe
Not in Comic Sans.
maybe a different topic.
Oh, like the font is what matters.
I was like, don't you think that maybe a new topic would be?
Stop. You don't want to see her eat her hair in frog mode.
You're right.
How do I change it? Precious. Oh, God.
You should. Oh, she's doing it.
It's chilly.
She's done it. Oh my
It's
God.
chilly.
You're not gonna read it.
Resend it. Resend it. Just resend it.
Resend it?
Resend it.
Yeah, just.
Resend it.
And see.
For this next piece, we have a game called Thesis Defense. And in this game, we have one player come to the front and defend a category of your choosing, okay? Just much like my thesis defense, it's all going to be arbitrary and primarily favoritism. So in this case, the person up front will be defending, the person in the back can object, and they'll clap their hands, tell us why they object. I will be the judge in this case. Power's on mine. And we can say whether we like it or don't like it. And if we don't, then they'll stay. If we like it, they will take the place of the first person up front. And the last person in 2 minutes, 2 minutes, remember the arbitrary part? Person standing here, 2 minutes is the winner. Ready?
Okay.
All right, so for this game, I need a suggestion. Let's get something that you heard, maybe a word, it doesn't have to be a whole concept, but something that you heard from Dr. Tanya's research earlier.
Stun gun.
Stun gun. Yes, now let me get my phone ready because I was ready? And 2 minutes, go.
Alright, so the stun gun is a very effective police weapon. But, ACAB. So, I think we should replace all of the stun guns with bananas.
Objection. Bananas cannot shoot. The bananas are delicious.
That's true.
It's true.
Very clear.
All right.
Stage.
Bananas are possibly one of the most perfect fruits. They come in their own little package. They're portable. You can like split them in half, save the other half for later.
Objection.
Objection.
If they're one of the best fruits, why would you split it in half and save it for later?
I think the audience has spoken, Paige, you may say.
If bananas were in fact the greatest fruit, nobody would split them in half. Therefore, they are not. That is because strawberries are the greatest fruit.
Objection.
Objection, Sam?
Bananas are berries. Strawberries are not berries.
Any experts in the audience? That's true.
So, the definition of a berry is that it has seeds on the inside of a fully covered fruit.
Objection!
Objection.
I was just watching Barry this weekend. It's about a guy who's a serial killer. So there's this show on HBO where there's a guy who likes to kill people, but he also takes acting classes. And I'm like, I wonder if any of my improv friends are
Objection.
Objection,
It's
Sam.
not the friends, you're the serial killer.
Let's hear about how Tom might be a serial killer.
Exhibit A.
Objection.
Objection. That is prejudice. You can't judge someone based off of how they look.
I agree. I'll take the stage.
Yeah. So Tom may look like a serial killer. He's very nice and warm and very positive and enthusiastic, and it really brings our group together. He's also a professor, so he probably shouldn't kill people because he might lose his job.
Objection. You can have tenure and kill people. I've seen movies. I know that if you have tenure, you can get away with anything. Anything. It does not matter. You can just walk into a place, shoot a guy, walk out.
Objection.
I've never seen a tenure professor shoot a guy.
I have.
Zarita was walking down the street and a guy was like holding a gun.
Objection, Paige.
Who was skipping? Probably very happily alone.
Where she's skipping.
Every good story starts with a skip, obviously. I mean, who doesn't like a great story like Hansel and Gretel? That turns out
Objection.
great.
Objection.
Those stories always start with once upon a time. Every good story starts with once upon a time in Hollywood. Once upon a time, the TV show.
Objection, Mary Claire.
There are no good stories that start in Hollywood.
I think the Bowling Greens.
Actual Hollywood is much dirtier than please go refill your drinks, tip your bartender, meet us back here in 10 minutes.
so happy that it looks like everyone stayed and nobody left. If you're watching, we can tell if you left. So now, to kick off the second part of the show, let's bring back the smartest man in the room, Dr. Ken Tanya.
Thank you. I'm supposed to project a little more with this. Okay. I'm not going to sing though. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the star-nosed mole. And this is an animal that, if you look at it, you might say, well, that looks like it's from Mars or something like that. So I wanted to mention that they're actually found in Tennessee, in the Smoky Mountains. But most of their range is up into the northeastern United States. And they're a really interesting animal in the sense that most moles don't live in wetlands, but this one does. So its habitat is really interesting. And this is a picture of what it's more typically doing. So that was a really dramatic shot of the front view. This is more like what you would typically see a mole doing, sort of moving through a tunnel, searching with its nose. And its environment is really interesting in the sense that it's a very rich ecosystem. Wetlands have a lot of different wildlife in them, and the soil is very rich. And we do field work up in Pennsylvania to collect these animals, and it's really interesting because there are so many different species that live in the wetland. So it's a real adventure to do this. When we collect star-nosed moles, we also get voles, we get other kinds of moles, we get short-tailed shrews, we get these little tiny masked shrews, we get water shrews, and we get weasels, which are eating all the other guys. And that's just a sampling of the animals that all share the same tunnels. And when you're a biologist and you think about that, one of the questions that comes to mind is, what is it that a star-nosed mole can do that's really different from these other animals that allows it to sort of carve out its own unique sort of set of resources that it can exploit, where it's not really in competition with all these other animals. And so I kind of went out on a limb and I thought maybe it's the star. And you know, the star turns out to be a very interesting thing, but one thing that might be surprising, and I want to tell you now, is it's not for smell. So even though it's a star-nosed mole, this thing is a touch receptor, but it's a phenomenal touch receptor. And if you look at it under the scanning electron microscope, it's really astounding. So these are the nostrils here. It's only about 1 centimeter across, so even though you saw that big model, the moles are pretty small. The star is only about the size of your fingertip, and yet it's innervated by 100,000 nerve fibers. And you know, I can say that and be like, wow, but what does that really mean? So a good reference for that is what goes on with the human hand, because the human hand is an incredibly acute touch organ. It's thought to underlie our ability to make and use tools and many other things. So it's a very sensitive, important part of our sensory system. And yet this is the size of a star on a star-nosed mole with 100,000 fibers. And our hand has 17,000. So there's 5 times more concentrated into the size of your fingertip. And it gets even more interesting if you start to zoom in on this structure and look at it in more detail, because, let me go back one here, because each of these little appendages is covered with these little domes. And these little domes are called Eimer's organs, and they're super sensitive little touch organs that we don't even know the lower threshold for how sensitive they are, because our equipment isn't calibrated to go to that low of a force. And they're full of this set of mechanoreceptors, each one of these. This is what all those nerve fibers are supplying. So they're really sensitive touch organs. And the other thing that we want to think about, I'm doing this 2 at a time here. Try one more. So where does this information go in the brain? And that's another question that you want to think about with these really sensitive sort of sensory systems. And as a good reference, we can think about what goes on in the human brain, because the moles are mammals and we're mammals, and so we share a number of characteristics of our brain organization with all other mammals. And one of those is a map of the sense of touch, that in humans, sort of the feet are represented up near the midline, and then the rest of the body sort of represented in a line down to the face that's about over your ear. And so you can ask the question, what's this like in moles? They have a similar kind of map, but there's something really interesting about their map, especially for the star. And that is, they have a anatomically visible representation of the star in their brain. You can basically see a star in their brain when you look at the right part of the anatomy and stain it properly. And so that's what you're seeing here. So here's half the star. It turns out that only half of each part of the body, and this is true in humans as well, goes to one half of the brain, the other half goes to the other half of the brain. So here's half the star, and here's this visible brain map. And that's really interesting for a lot of reasons, but one of the things that it allows us to do right away is start to measure really accurately sort of the sizes of these different areas. And you don't really need a ruler to notice that this one part of the brain map is huge, even though that part of the star is not very big. So viewed from the brain's perspective, that part of the star is super important, and you can start to say, well, why might that be the case? Well, it turns out that that is what you can call a tactile phobia. So it is the part of the star that is used for really detailed investigation of objects through touch. And that's really kind of amazing because it's very similar to the way our visual system is organized. So you're looking at me. If you looked at the corner of the room and tried to see what I was doing, you wouldn't be able to figure it out because you don't have high resolution for that part of your retinal phobia. You're constantly moving your eye around, and that is how you manage to scrutinize things in detail. So, right, this is what we're always doing, and this is what we're used to doing. And it turns out that star-nosed moles are doing the same sort of thing, but they're doing it with the star. So I'm going to show you a movie. So this is filmed from below in super slow motion. So you can see an example of a star-nosed mole is interested in this thing. It's a little bit of food. It's going to touch it with the side of the star, and then it's going to do this little foveation thing for touch like we might do for vision. It's going to come back and touch with that central high-resolution part. Okay, so that was in slow motion, and I'm just going to sort of summarize the things that I've just sort of pointed out, and this is just the highlights of star-nosed mole biology that I have time to tell you about. So they have 100,000 afferents, 25,000 of these iris organs. They have a somatosensory phobia, this visual brain map. They actually have extra areas, extra maps in the brain compared to other animals. And I have the question here, what is all this good for? Because I posed the question, what can they do that's different? Now I'm telling you that they have a great sense of touch, but that doesn't really tell you what they're doing with it. So now I want to show you a star-nosed mole encountering these 8 different little pieces of food and play it in real time so you can see how quick they actually are. And this is going to loop for you so you can see it a few times. They are phenomenally good and incredibly fast at finding and eating little things very quickly. And this is exactly the kind of thing that you find in wetlands that you don't find in the sort of typical mole environment. So they are very well adapted to exploit this. And one of the fun things was when we published this part of their biology, I ended up getting a certificate in the mail, and it was for the Guinness Book of World Records, because they really are the fastest eaters among all mammals. And that's just some of the highlights of these guys. So, okay, I'm going to turn it over. Whoops. Oh, well, there's a book. If you're interested in hearing more, there's a book out there. I wasn't going to show that, but...
Bruno! I didn't know you frequented this tunnel.
Yeah, usually it's only me and Macy.
Yeah. Yeah, usually it's only me and Jenna. What's up, Bruno?
Oh, nothing. I'm just here to look around, see what you guys found. Here.
To take our tunnel?
Absolutely not. No, I'm not here to take your child tunnel. That is absurd.
Hey, I got the child tunnel taken here.
That looks an awful lot like you're taking our tunnel.
No, not the tunnel, just the tunnel child.
We heard
tunnel child.
Definitely not. Definitely not about the fact that it can heal wounds in 2 seconds.
I know, it is the fastest heal wounding child tunnel ever.
I didn't put it in the Guinness Book of World Records.
What do you think I whispered about?
You know what? I think they're trying to kill us. We should come up first.
There is no mystical child tunnel.
What's that right there?
That
Not.
car.
Child! Can you hear us?
I can only cure wounds.
It's real.
It's real. Hey kid, I got a squeaky toy.
No!
Yeah.
Close it up!
We are.
You sizing me up?
I'm gonna fight you, Billy. No, I'm afraid of getting touched. I'm still gonna beat you.
How you gonna fight me if you're afraid to touch me?
With my mind, I'm smarter than you, Billy.
Fighting with our mind. Oh, intriguing.
That's a big word for a small little boy.
You learned it in 4th grade. Chad, come on.
Too close, Billy. 6 feet.
No, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
Don't do it, Billy. I'll unleash my mind on you. I have 10,000 plus neurosensory organs. I mean, do you have? I probably have more than my whole brain than you have on your whole body.
Just because I'm short.
Yeah. You're short and you don't have as many sensory organs.
How do I get more than...
You wanna get more sensory? You gotta just-
I told you you can't smoke in the brain.
Why not?
We're not, obviously we can't. We can break something. Look, okay. I have this map for the brain. What did I just tell you? Come on! You gotta
What
pick that up.
I'm gonna put it out in the brain? That's safe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna burn the brain. What do you want me to do?
What do you want to do right now?
So I'm gonna finish my cigarette then. Keep talking about your Mac.
Oh, I feel like this is a really bad idea.
Probably. Tell me about the Mac.
Okay. It says that we have to go northeast.
In the brain.
In the brain, yeah.
Okay, what's over there?
That's where we'll find the home.
Alright. Oh, there it is. Over there.
Over there. That doesn't really look like any mole I've ever seen. Hey, are you a mole?
That's the hole. I see many
Yes.
Whoa! This was just a jellyfish on the beach and I was trying to get zapped and you showed up. What world is this?
Jellyfish G. Every time you poke a jellyfish, I will grant you 3 wishes.
I poked it twice. My first wish is super speed.
Done. Wow, that was fast.
Yes. Okay, my second wish is I want a pet horse because My dad said I couldn't have one. So,
Horse up, cadabra.
wow. You're Claude. I named you Claude. I didn't ask for this. Don't count this as my wish.
Back.
Oh, I'm back. I'm pissed.
I understand.
You gonna apologize? You just understand?
It is not my fault that you decided to take your favorite alligator head to the eel pit.
Your idea to go to the eel pit. I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay home and cradle my alligator.
Cut to the eel pit.
Told you this was a bad idea. He's shocking my crockhead.
Hey, it's fine. You can the croc's already dead. Ah!
Wow, your costume looks awesome. It looks like you're from Mars. Yo. Oh my god. I love the thing that make you fly on Mars. It's so cool. Ooh, my jetpack? Your jetpack is awesome. Who did your makeup? Well, Silver. I did. You did your makeup? Wow. You're so cool, Rosie. Well, you could be cool too. Really? Yeah, you just have to get a new costume. Shoot. I mean, what's wrong with my current costume? It's just, I don't really know what it is. It looks like it belongs in the dirt. I mean, I'm going for like a rat or but you've got this weird face thing that's kind of really scary. Yeah, I put electrical systems to make it move to make it more realistic. That is really cool, but I also have a jetpack, so you could step it up a little bit with your engineering skills. Yeah, I want to like play with the cool kids, you know? Like, I mean, I know you're in 8th grade, I'm in 7th grade, so you're automatically cooler than me. That's true. So, I just want to be just like you. Well, okay, let's come up with a story. Sorry, let's move up on the phone. You made my jetpack malfunction! Shoot, Rosie, I'm so sorry, it wasn't intentional. I programmed AI into it, so now it has a mind of its own. Why did you say so? We gotta tell the rest of the kids at the school that your costume has its own mind. Do you think they'll like me if we tell them?
Trying to get into the Smokey mountain biome.
So yes, I am.
I think you got what it takes to live out here.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
You can take on a mole.
Yeah, I've seen one before. I could take it down.
You think you can take on a bowl.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
What about a bowl?
A bowl?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you ain't never fought with a bowl.
I mean, those are the scariest
They're
ones
tough.
out there. Oh my gosh. Oh, Jesus. And you're just holding it out there for the world to see and you're mom?
I've beaten this bowl. If you want in.
I understand. I don't think I can do it. I mean,
You're not ready.
teach
my work to disprove the fact that Bobby ate the cheese on that day at your party.
And I worked fervently for 43 years to vindicate Bobby. He never ate that cheese. And you can see from this paper that is peer-reviewed and cited that Bobby did not eat the cheese.
Wait, that's my studies too. You studied the same thing? We both...
And I scooped your ass. I submitted to Nature +1 in every...
Was it in Comic Sans? Because there wasn't in Comic Sans.
All right, Elon. I am tired of your bullshit. You know I'm the better scientist than you.
Hi, is this Nature +1?
Sure is. This is Dr. Ken speaking. How can I help you?
Yeah, I was reading your paper about the guy who didn't eat the cheese at the party. I wanted to issue a retraction. I'm that guy. I ate the cheese.
Are you Bobby? Like, what's your name?
I'm Bobby. Yeah, my old friend Elon wrote that, right?
I mean, do you have...
Did you get my paper yesterday? Reading it? Why?
We published it, Elon. Yeah, we published it.
Bobby's on the phone. Bobby says that your study is real. Exactly. I didn't ask.
No, I'm saying it's not real. I'm saying that they
Sorry,
lie.
it's not real. It's not real.
I ate that cheese.
He ate it, and he wants us to retract your paper, which is very bad, Elon. It will ruin your career.
So, Elon, now that your paper's been retracted, and you ain't got nothing left except your money.
It's a lot of money. I can do anything I want with it.
Cure world hunger?
No, that's stupid.
What? It costs like maybe 35 billion. What could you spend for like 9 more billion than that?
I don't know, something important like a social media platform that allows you to post up to like, I don't know, what, 100 characters, 120 characters.
Elon, that's the dumbest thing ever.
No, it's not. Have you seen my child's name?
He put us in this little cage, and he's just like looking at us under like a weird glass-like thing.
Kidnap us. Give us a phone so I can call the police.
Get us out of here, Ken. We're not moles, we're people.
These balls are real loud.
Let us out of here. Hello? Can anyone hear us? I feel like I hear something in your lab.
That's just some moles making sweet noises.
911, we were kidnapped.
We're not moles, we're people.
We're in wolf costumes. It sounds a little bit more than a squeak.
Moles are very smart.
Their costumes are very realistic.
Maybe I should just check.
They're fine.
I'm gonna go in and check.
Okay.
Hello?
We're people. We're humans.
That's what we
I
got.
don't
We
know.
got the star noses and everything.
It's just a really good costume.
It's super glued on us. Did you teach these moles how to talk? This is crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the new Guinness World Record book.
Oh, this will definitely get it. Can you call 911 for us? Hello?
Well, your paper is going to get retracted.
Bobby called. I don't deal well with
You
threats.
just tell me I'm going to get my paper retracted.
And you're going to lose tenure.
He's gonna sue us.
Think that science isn't sexy. But I'm here to tell you science is in fact sexy, and we're here to prove it to you. So for example, I have my friends back here, example, yes. For example, if you gave me the word flower, then I would say I like my lovers like I like my flowers in full bloom. So let's get started.
Bowl. Starfish. Bowl.
Bowl.
I like my lovers like I like my bowls. They went to a shitty university in Tennessee.
I like my lovers like I like my bowls. They need to be voluptuous.
I like my lovers like I like my bowls, deep underground. Can we get another suggestion?
Neuroreceptors.
Neuroreceptors?
Neuroreceptors.
I like my lovers like I like my nerve receptors. They hurt me.
I like my lovers like I like my neuroreceptors barely function.
I like my lovers like my nerve receptors in the palm of my hand.
I like my lovers like I like my nerve receptors. I've been studying them for 6 years and I still can't get no action potential.
My lovers like I like my nerve receptors. They're all over my body.
Alright, let's get another word. Hair. Hair? Hair. I like my lovers like I like my...
I like my lovers like I like my hair. I cut them once every.
I like my lovers like I like my hair. I like to chew on it when I get nervous.
I like my lovers like I like my hair. When I get hot, I get them up.
Live Comedy Scene Improv Science Theater 4000. We have another show.
June 16th.
June 16th.